All right. Good morning once again. I hope you guys can hear me. If somebody should confirm the audio again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have spent reasonable time on mastering how to create websites manually with HTML and CSS and JavaScript. Now, the standard custom of learning web development is that you go through all that aspect so that you understand the usage of the tags, the properties, and the basic uh, JavaScripts, the functions, and other. Now, when it comes to the application, talking about when you want to start building responsive websites that you don't need to bother yourself with a media query. That place we are doing at media, maximum width, and all of that, just to ensure that our website is compatible with mobile phone or smaller devices. Once you want to achieve that, you cannot 100% achieve that using the manual method. You have to build the website on this framework, which is called the Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is a collection of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript tools that helps developer create modern, responsive web interface efficiently. So you can see the keywords that are mentioned in the definition as the reason why you should learn Bootstrap as one of the website development platform. So what is the key reason why web developer uses this framework? Now, when we say a framework, we are talking about already made platform. Anytime you hear framework, is already made platform where certain codes or languages has been embedded. So from that definition, I mentioned that it is a collection of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So which means that at this point, you don't need to write much CSS. You don't even need to write much HTML and even JavaScript function. Most of the things that we are struggling to apply manually can be easily achieved using the Bootstrap platform. So in summary, we can say the Bootstrap is a JavaScript library and also what CSS. Why I don't want to include HTML, though it was mentioned in my first definition. We are expected to develop the HTML ourselves and then integrate the classes names. Now, you can see that I just mentioned the word class, which means that by now we are familiar with ID, with class. These are unique way of identifying or differentiating one element from the other within our scripting. So it means that the same elements you have learned are the same elements we are going to use here. Because somebody may start thinking, why do I have to spend that time learning those things when at the end I'm not going to probably rely on them 100%? Yes, because the H1 that you have learned there is the same H1 that I'm going to use here to create headings. The images, the image tag you have learned here, the same image tag I'm going to use here to create what? Images. The form that you have learned there, the same form I'm going to use to create what? The same form tag. All those inputs, and their types that we have looked at. The same thing that we apply here. But the difference is this. You know, when you were styling your form, you gave it your own class, right? Let me get a response. When you were styling your form, you gave it your own class. You determine the name. Am I communicating? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Good. You gave it
Yes, sir.
your name, your class name. You gave it your ID name. But that same form, if you are creating it in Bootstrap, you no longer have that rights to give it your own name, your own class name. You are going to align with the class's name used by Bootstrap. Now, in doing that, the moment I go with the class name of the Bootstrap, it means that that particular element, being it a form, being it an image, being it H1, being it any of those tags that we have mastered, will automatically inherit the CSS properties that have been pre-designed. And that is why Bootstrap makes the development work easier. So you are going to write less code. You are going to write less HTML, particularly, in fact, if you are good with the Bootstrap classes, you may not even need to write any of those CSS manually. Because, for example, if I want to create a heading and I want to color it red, all I need is to create the H1 and assign Bootstrap class name for coloring, and then the color comes out automatically. If I want to make a round image, a circular image, all I need to do is to create that image tag and add Bootstrap class name for making it rounded corner. So you can see how it saves us from, wasting time. But the only thing you must learn, if you are not going to fall back to the manual, you must understand the classes for each of the CSS properties you want to see on that element. So I'm just giving us a picture, and I'm also telling us why it is very important every developer end the journey of the front end with Bootstrap. One, from what I mentioned, number one reason why Bootstrap is needed for your website development, particularly the front end. We're talking about the front end now. We have nothing to do with the back end. The Bootstrap is not applied in the back end. It's simply just applied in the front end, the user's end. One reason is responsiveness. Now, there's difference between dynamic and responsiveness. In website development, when we say a website that are created or creates is responsive, it simply means you are saying that the website is compatible with all the major devices sizes. For example, your phone has a very small screen compared to your laptop. Now, a website can be displaying properly on a laptop, but by the time somebody that uses phone open that website, the whole thing will scatter. That is not a responsive website. A responsive website is a website that adapts, that adjusts automatically to every device's screen where it's being open. So that is the key reason, that is the principal reason why we use Bootstrap. Why? Because Bootstrap has the configuration that can make website to display across all the devices sizes comfortably. If you open it on iPhone, it works very well. If you open it on Android, it works very well. So think of any device, even the future devices. Once they come out, they will adjust the code on the global platform, and then it affects all the websites automatically that are built on Bootstrap. So I'm only trying to picture some of the advantages and reasons why Bootstrap is a must-learn front-end framework by every developer. So why use Bootstrap? Just to echo some of these reasons again. Number one, I say responsive design. Why using Bootstrap? Number one, I say what? Responsive design. Why using Bootstrap? Why Bootstrap? I expect us to be writing or taking notes. Why using Bootstrap? Number one, I said what? Responsive. Responsive design. That is one of the core reasons. So what do we mean by responsive design? It means automatically adjusts layouts for phones, tablets, and desktop. I hope somebody is getting it. Let me get a response. Automatically, it means what? Automatically adjusts. Are you with me? Adjust what? Layouts. Because there are keywords I want us to understand.
Sir.
Layouts for phones, tablets, and laptop or desktop. Laptop or desktop. So that is one of the reasons why we should learn Bootstrap. So whenever you hear the word responsiveness, this is exactly what it's talking about. Automatically, I don't have to be the one to adjust it. Once I open it on the browser, it will what? Contrast to fit the size of that device. That is one of the direct benefits of learning what? Bootstrap, or why I should use Bootstrap. The next one is pre-built component. This one is also very important. Pre-built what? Component. The word pre-built means what? Already made, which I've already emphasized on before. Already made. All right. So by the time I get to the practical aspects that I plan to cover in this session, you will see that I can just create an element, pass in Bootstrap class name, and then it takes the style automatically. That is what a developer will have waste time to go and start calling CSS by background color, the write-up color, all those things. There is a class you will just call, and then all those colors will show up on that element automatically. So you can see that within the limited time, you can finish a more user-friendly, responsive website, because all these are already made for you. Somebody have pre-written the CSS. That is exactly what a framework or a library does. So many things have been programmed at the background for you. You are just coming to exploit, and you cannot exploit them effectively until you know them. So what we are learning is me to show you how you can, the name of this what? Inbuilt what? Components. How do we use them? It's just like somebody are bringing you to already made building that you purchase. What the person is going to do is just to walk you through, tell you this is where you have toilet, this is where you have window. He's not going to teach you how to build from scratch. That is what you have learned from the manual section. Manual section, we took time to explain tags to you. We took time to explain properties. We took time to learn some JavaScript functions, which we are still going to apply here without us writing those code, or we will just be what? Be adjusting. Are we still together? So let's look at another flourish. I hope you are following. The next one is grid. One of the reasons why you should use Bootstrap is what? Grid system. Grid system. So what do we mean by grid system? What do we actually mean by grid system? Now, grid system means easily. Let me see if I can put it in writing. I want us to document. It means what? Easy. It means easy layout. Easy what? Layout structure. Easy layout structure. Using rows and columns. So when we get to this will come in probably the next class or the third class where we shall be talking about what? Grid system. So I say what? Easy layout structure using rows and columns. Now, the whole of your website is broken into horizontal structure and vertical what? Structure. So, like I have said before, if I am asked, how will Bootstrap be able to what? To adjust automatically to these different what? Devices, what? Screen sizes. That is going to be possible because of the grid structure. The way the content will be factored into the horizontal structure and the vertical what? Structure. So that is the grid what? System we are talking about. So we also have another reason why Bootstrap is cross. Let me see. Still in here. Cross platform or cross browser compatibility. Cross-browser compatibility. So what it means is that any website that you build on Bootstrap framework, it can work perfectly on Mozilla Firefox, Edge, any of the browser, it can work perfectly. You know, there are some websites that when you open them on some browsers, the whole thing will look different. There are some that when you open them on Chrome, it will look different. Some select only a browser that they can work perfectly with. Like that manual one that we are using, select browser. So if you are using old browser, maybe outdated browser, you will notice that what? It will not display properly. So these are some of the constraints. But all these are taken care of when you build with what? Bootstrap. So that is the foundation. That is the introduction. Now, let's quickly look at Bootstrap what? Setup. How do I set up Bootstrap in my project? This is taking us to the practical aspect now that we have for this particular section. How to set up what? Bootstrap. How do we set it up? If I want to start a project, remember how we have been going. I want to start a project. I want to build a website for a client. I want to build a website for a client. How do I start? How do I start? How do I implement the Bootstrap? Because the era where you just create a folder and then you call it like that to your Visual Studio Code should be ending now. Going forward, when you want to start a project, you create a folder, set up the Bootstrap in that project. So why? Because you want to build that website on top of Bootstrap, not the manual again. So that is why that is the only practical we have in this session. Once I'm done with this, we will stop there and continue from there next class. How to set up Bootstrap. Now, step number 1, you have to create your project folder, which we also did. So I'll right click, select new, then create a folder. Then let's say this is Bootstrap. underscore project. Bootstrap underscore project. So that is my project folder. Now, the next thing is for you to determine the type of Bootstrap installation or setup. So we have 3 types of Bootstrap installation, depending on the method you are using. So I'm going to show us 2 out of the 3 because the other method is only needed when you are learning React, which is a different ballgame entirely. Now, the first method is what we call the offline Bootstrap installation. As the word implies, offline, it simply means installing or setting up Bootstrap offline. That is, you are downloading all the Bootstrap pre-built components, both for CSS and JavaScript, directly in your local project. Now, the advantage of that option is that you have the privilege of checking those pre-written components. For example, if I create a button and I assign Bootstrap class and the button takes shape automatically, that is, the button absorbs what background color, the text color, and the design is good without me manually writing CSS. I have the privilege to check the CSS property Bootstrap wrote to give me that appearance. So from there, I can now steal some concepts. So most of us go to, we deliberately deliberately install this offline so that we can peep, so that we can learn some properties. That is the advantage. But the disadvantage is that if by tomorrow there is an update in their server, that your particular website where you install the offline will not get that update. So which means that if they have styled a button to a certain appearance, and by tomorrow they now add another appearance, those of us or you that did offline installation will not get that update. But if I use the other method, which is called the CDN method, using their CDN link. The CDN means what? Content Delivery Network. Content Delivery Network, which means that you simply add their server link into your website. That is, you do not go through downloading it into your project. You only attach your project to that server. That anytime I need CSS appearance, call it from their server. So which means that if by tomorrow what they give red and they change it to a better color, all the websites that uses that or that use that CDN will update automatically. So it's just like an API platform. It's just like where you have like a maybe dollar rates in some of these cryptocurrency websites and these banking websites, where you have a dollar rate changing every now and then. And once it changes at the global level, all the websites where they are giving those updates automatically change. So these are not the things that you do manually from your end as a developer. So that is what we are talking about. So once you install that remote, that CDN, once anything is changed over there, it affects every website where where the CDN link was used. So let me start by teaching us these two, and once I'm done with these two, then we call it a section. So I have I've created my folder, and then I will open a browser. Make sure you are writing down your step, because anyway, the video will get to you before the next meeting. Now, once you get to a browser, then you visit their website, which is called www.bootstrap.com, or you can simply type Bootstrap. By the time you type the name, you are going to see the version. Now, we have Bootstrap 4.0, 2.0, 3.0, and then 5 point some series. Now, I will advise you to implement the latest or the one among the newer versions, because when you use the old version, the class you might be using now will not work with the old version. So I'm going with Bootstrap 5. So the moment you click on it, the moment you click on Bootstrap 5, and then you see what it's here. Now, like you can see here, we have Bootstrap 5.3. Like I told you, we have Bootstrap 5.0. Just make sure that you use a version that is not below 5. So let's say we are using this. I click here, and then that brings us to the website. So from the website, since we are considering offline, that is, we want to download the whole of those previewed components and install them in our project, such that we don't need internet before we have access to this already built what component. All right. So once you come here, you click on download, and then once you click on download, now remember it's a library, and anything that have to do with library will always provide documentation. Documentation is just like the person that built the library has written some guidelines that are expected to guide you while you are here. That is why sometimes you just need even one, you just need person to show you once. You can come here and keep expanding your skill. Now, look at what he said. Download Bootstrap to get what? The compiled CSS and JavaScript source code, or include it with your favorite package manager, which is the what? The third option, NPM, Network Package Manager. Now, you go down, you see that HTML is not mentioned, right? But in my definition, I captured it. But like I told us that it's supposed to be your responsibility to create your HTML. You are supposed to just come here and depend on the preview, the compiled CSS and JavaScript for you. So now I'll read through and see what I'm going to get. Download ready to use compile code for Bootstrap, whatever. I'll say, okay, you click on download. And then once the download is completed as an archive or as a zip file, it will download as a zip file. Then you will now go to your download default folder, click on the file explorer, then go to what? Download. Then from download, you will see what you downloaded. Now remember that you have created your folder, your project folder. So we are going to extract it and dump it inside that folder. So what we mean by folder extraction? Folder extraction is where you are unzipping it. And you must have one of those applications for unzipping what? Zip folders. Every window has it by default, but you can install external one. Like my own case, I've installed WinRAR. That is why the icon is showing like this. But if you do not have WinRAR, you are going to see this color like this, but it will carry zip icon on it. So how do I know WinRAR? That how do I know a zip file? You always see that zip icon either on a WinRAR like this or on a default window application. So now I will right click on this and select what? Extract file. Now if I select extract here, it means that I am unzipping it and the copy will be in the same place where I am. But remember that I've created a folder. So which means I want to unzip and send it to that folder. So for that reason, I will not select this option. I will go with this option so that it will ask me where do I want to unzip it to. So from here, I will now select the folder. Remember that folder was created on desktop, and then you can now expand the desktop and then locate the name of the folder, which is this. That is all you need to do. And then once you can see that the directory of that your project is what is showing here, then you are good to go. So you click on OK. Then the file has been extracted and has gone to that folder. So let's go to that folder and check. Let's see. Let's open it. Good. So you see that we have it here. But this is not the endpoint because it must not be here like this. You have to open it and see the two files. Now you can see the CSS and the JavaScript Word file. Now you highlight both of them. You copy, go back one step. You are now directly in that project folder. Right click and paste. Now I don't need this anymore. You delete it because you have structured it the way we have been working. You know, all this while we create CSS folder in our project folder, we create JavaScript in that same project folder. That is the structure that we have achieved. Now I can now go to my editor, my development environment, and call in that project. This time around, I am bringing it in with the Bootstrap downloaded. Now I will just configure it to speak with my HTML Word document. So as usual, go to File, then select what Open Folder, and then target the destination, which is desktop. Then locate that your folder, which is project folder. Let me see if it's here. Should be here. Yeah, Bootstrap project. Now just tap it. You don't need to double click and ensure that it's showing here. Click on select folder, and then automatically you have just incorporated that project in your development environment. So the next step is for me to create my HTML file because I was not given HTML structure. I was only given what? CSS. Like I was telling us, that you can see that when you download, and I'm giving all this advice for you to upgrade your CSS library. If you want to know more CSS property from the one you were taught, if you open here now, you see bunch of pre-written CSS by Bootstrap. And the one that carried the main file is the one that ends with bootstrap.what? CSS. So if you scroll down, you will see that option, which is this one. Now, if I open this one now, you can see different what? CSS property. So all this code have been written. And all this code, you can see some of the things we have been learning, font weight. So that is the reason why you have been learning. Now you can see the responsiveness created for all the heading. That is why I can just choose what? H3. If I create an element H3 and I give it a class, then it will automatically take this what? Setting. That is what we are saying. If I create, okay, look at this here. Look at where they said the responsiveness for H1 at media. So instead of you doing all these things that we're doing for each of the elements, all you need is just to align with Bootstrap what? Classes. We are going to see that in a moment. I just want you to know that you have the advantage of seeing the pre-written code if you are using offline what? Installation method. So now we have, I just wanted us to see this. Now we want to create our index, our HTML page, where we would like to communicate the CSS and the JavaScript that we have downloaded from Bootstrap. So of course, I'll make sure that I am in the project folder and then click as usual. I'll say what? Let's say index.html. Index.html. Then of course, activate my HTML basic structure as usual, HTML5. So why it appears as if I'm far, because these are things you have already known. When I get to where you start learning new things, I will slow down. Now, here, I will have to link. The first thing is to connect the CSS, just like the way we have been working with external CSS. I have to link the CSS file into what? This particular HTML file where I want to use them. So as usual, you go to the head section, type your link as usual, then slash to reference the structure, then go to CSS. Remember, I just told us that the one that contains all the properties is what? The one that ends with what? Bootstrap.cs. You link that one. Now, I will now go and confirm whether the Bootstrap is actually communicating. So let me go to this. Let me just create what? Let's say I create button. Just watch out now. This is how you confirm after you have established the connection to know whether Bootstrap is already communicating before you proceed. Just confirm with one of the Bootstrap elements. So now I'll say what? Click me. Now let's go to the front end and check whether Bootstrap is already communicating. So you see how the button came. Now I want you to take note of the appearance of this button when we have not even spoken CSS. Let me temporarily comment this out because I want to see whether something will change. If something changed, it means that what? It means that the Bootstrap is already what? Communicating. It's just a minute. Okay, so like I was saying, we want to confirm if Bootstrap is already communicating. So I want to temporarily take off this. Or let's say I just to comment it out. Okay, let's go back to that front end and check. Remember that. Remember, we have already previewed it before. So I'm asking, is there any difference? Please check. Check. Is there any difference between when that Bootstrap link was there? Can we notice any difference? Please, I want feedback.
Sir,
And light is disturbing.
touch the distance first.
Now look at, just take note of it now. Let me on it back. Let me on it back. Now let's go back. Any difference? You cannot observe it. There is difference. Look at it. Look at it. Let me go back and comment it out.
Okay.
Any difference?
Yes.
Good.
The borders are bolder.
Good. Now that is default, which means that for it to change, it means that Bootstrap has already what? Added some default appearance. Now look up now. Let me come here now, add a class. I'm adding Bootstrap class. This is what I was telling us, that we no longer use our own class now. Next time you say class like this now, you don't use your own. I don't know why my light is disturbing me seriously. So you don't need to use your own class name if you want to inherit the Bootstrap property, those CSS that I showed us now. So I will align any class, any element. If I'm using HTML table, if I'm using HTML list, if I'm using HTML image, if I'm using HTML video, now I will now be researching for what? Classes that Bootstrap use, no longer the one I want to use. Why? Because I want to inherit, I want to capture the properties the Bootstrap have already put in place that will make the website, those elements to display, to adjust automatically to all layouts. So now if I say what? BTN, if I say BTN, right, is a base what? Class name. One thing about Bootstrap is that an element will have base class, which means that what? The class name that carries the media query that makes that element responsive. then different class name that implement the CSS, which is the what? The appearance. So there are two classes that are involved. One is the one that ensure the responsiveness. The other one is the one that determines the appearance. So if you say BTN and stop there, that is the one that implements the responsiveness. So I will now space and say what? If I say BTN again, BTN, which means that you are acknowledging the base, and then this time around you are communicating CSS. So if I say what? Primary. If I say primary, so let's go back to the front end now and check what are changed. Who can tell me what are changed? What are changed? Please unmute and respond. What are changed?
There is a color. There is a color base.
Now, let's assume we don't know Bootstrap. What and what you will have written for this button to appear like this? Background
You first
color.
of all use background color. Then you use color for the that click me, you use color. Then
Good.
for the background, you use blue.
Now look at this. Can you see that it changes as I'm touching it? Are you feeling?
Yes.
What is that?
That is a link.
Look at it. Look at it. Are you seeing any effect?
Yes.
What
it's
is
showing
that?
that you use hyperlink.
No. Mrs. Oikosi, look at it. I don't know whether your screen. Is the color not changing? As I'm touching it now, the background color is a little bit darker. Look at
Okay,
it.
over effect.
Good. Now you can see the reason why you spend that time. If not, if I have brought us here, by now we'll have finished this program. But all those things that you were learning is for you to know what Bootstrap is doing for you. So you cannot say that I'm not a developer because after all you have paid the price. You know what it's doing, not that you don't know anything. That is why the learning process implies that you spend time to understand how to catch the fish, then before learning how to eat the fish. This one is for service. When you start, rendering services, you don't need to go through all that because that will waste your time. Now, let's edit. Now, what do you know what is generating that color? Is primary. So going forward, primary means what color in Bootstrap? Primary means what color? Blue, right? Are you following? Now, if I change this place of primary to danger, can you predict the color? Oh God. Can you predict the color?
It will be red.
Okay, maybe red. Okay, we will confirm together now. Sorry, my lights. So let's go back and check now. You are correct. Now, if I want now, which means that in Bootstrap, danger is what color? Danger is what? What color? Danger
is red.
Danger is red. In Bootstrap, danger is red. So we need to understand all these things. So now, if I want, take note of them. If I put, let's say I put, I want to see if I will go like this. Okay, so let's say I put warning here. What color do you think that would be? Warning, as a warning. Who can predict this color? Warning.
Warning?
Yes.
Warning should be red now.
Well, danger is already red now. Okay, warning is what now? From what we have seen.
Okay, yellow.
So which means that when you are building your website and you want to create a button with this color, all you need to do is just to create what? The HTML, give it a class what? BTL, warning. That is all. That is all. Are you following? So
yes,
this confirms that we have successfully set up offline. This one, whether you're on the internet or not, all this CSS property can be used from Bootstrap. But remember what I told us in rounding up now with the next method. Remember what I told us, that if you are using this method, bear it at the back of your mind that if there is any update, let's say by tomorrow night, Bootstrap changes warning to like multiple color or color that will glitter, then your website will not get the update. So that is why we need to learn the offline. Now, if the CDN. So let's quickly go for the CDN. Now, let me comment this out since I'm no longer. For the CDN, you don't need to go through downloading it and extracting. You don't need all that, because you are saying that those properties, you are getting them directly from their website server. But the only condition is that you must be, when you are developing locally, your computer must be on the internet before you can see all this appearance that we are seeing. So let's quickly look at it. How to implement that. I've created my project folder. The only thing I will do is that I'll go back to the website. Then from here, if you click on this, let's go to the introduction so that we can get the link from introduction, which is the first item here. Then you will see the link. Let me show you. You see the link. You must be able to identify the one of CSS. So this is the link of CSS, this one. So you copy this one, and then you go back to your project. Any page. Remember that if you create a about us page, if you create service page, you create any other page, any page you want to use the Bootstrap property, you must add this CDN link. So maybe in this home page, I'll be using CSS from Bootstrap. So I'll paste it here. That is all you need to do. You don't need to go and start downloading and start what? Converting it, extracting it. Now let's also confirm. Remember that this one is not on. This, in fact, let me delete it. So which means that we are no longer connecting, we're no longer linked to this one. So we are depending on this one. I'm currently on the internet, which means that what? I want to check whether this is still giving us that appearance. Let's go back there. Perfect. It's still working. If you want to know whether this script or this code, this line is playing a role, just comment it out temporarily and then go back to the front end. You can see that what is no longer communicating. So that is how. But remember that if, for example, I create another file, let's say this is my about.html, all right? And then I come here, activate my HTML basic file, right? And then like this, in as much, if I create that same button, maybe I'm using this element and I add the base class name, BTN, and I add the base class name, which is class BTN space BTN hyphen I'm using info. Info is one of the color also. So if I write what, click me. If I write click me, now if I go to the front end, you will see that what, this particular file is not getting what, the Bootstrap what effect. So what is the issue? The issue is that here you have added the Bootstrap CDN link, but in this particular file you have not added it. So I will just come to the head section also and paste it. So the moment I paste it and I do that and I check the front end again, you see that what, it start receiving the what, the signal. So what I've used it to tell you that any file where you want to use the Bootstrap pre-built component, you must add that CDN link. That is for CSS. Now, if I want to also use JavaScript, which we are yet to exploit. So for JavaScript, you can see the link also given to you for JavaScript. So that one is for CSS. And then for JavaScript, this is the one for JavaScript. So these two can play major role, but you can copy them or you copy only one. You can just highlight it to the end and then copy only one. So this other one is when you are using a particular function, which we'll get to know later. Now, if you come here, where do I now paste my JavaScript? Remember when you were learning JavaScript, we told you that your JavaScript should always come before the closing body. The same thing. So you now come before the closing body and then paste it. So this is where you paste the one of JavaScript, and the one of CSS should be pasted in the head. I hope I'm communicating. Hello, are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this brings us to the end because we have achieved our objective today. So what was the set, or what were the set objective? We should be able to know what Bootstrap is. We should know how to install it offline. We should also know how to install it through the CDN. That is where we stop.
Hello, sir.
So, yeah, before I attend to you. So your assignment is for you to do the same thing. So you are going to create two different projects. One, you give me offline installation. The second one, you give me the CDN. So in our next class, I will ask you to verify them. You can go ahead with your question, ma'am.
Sir, it's not a question. Please, I want to share my screen. It's like
the network is
I'm
breaking.
getting
The network is breaking.
wrong. You know, my network is in off and on. I'm trying to download it, but
when the video get to you, go through the video.
I've already downloaded it, but
The network is breaking, man. Sorry, your network is breaking. What you do is that when the video get to you, go through the video, you'll be able to correct that question you are about to ask. Because your voice is not clear. It's like it's still breaking. And we have to leave.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir. So with this thing now, that place I'm having issue, you can solve it now.
What issue are you having? The AutoCAD?
Yes.
Yes, all those things, you can get them done here.
Okay.
But still go and use ChatGPT to generate another one
Hey,
and make it work.
Sir, how will I even do it with ChatGPT?
Well, you are following my hand. I mean, purity, don't do it. You never a whole you Gen Z. A whole Gen Z.
Hey.
You don't know how to prompt. You don't allow my purity chance you for this one. Flourish.
I went to go and do loop through. I do loop through. They are showing me code. I don't understand the code. I say, okay, get listener.
I didn't my purity network is clear to talk to us. I will have asked her to teach you. But anyway, call her on phone. I'll give you that class. I'm gonna call her. Let her teach you. A whole Gen Z. You are asking me how to prompt on ChatGPT. So tell her to teach you. Call her. You know she's your friend. She'll teach you how to go about it.
Okay,
if she could not, in the next class, remind me so I can show you. But I want her to teach you as your punishment. A whole Gen Z like you. All right, please. I need to leave. Well, purity, just that your network was not good. So please, when the video gets to you, if you watch the video, you'll be able to understand. I know it's that aspect of extracting and all those things that could be confusing you. So you'll get it in the video. Thank you. See you next class.
All right, sir.